There is a town in New York where 1,700 people died inside one building, and somehow the cemetery vanished. New York loves a good small town story. Apple orchards, covered bridges, that one diner where the waitress knows your order before you sit down. But there's another side of the map where the streetlights do not work because there is nobody left to change the bulbs. If you ask locals about the screaming in the woods, they will just say, "Don't ask." These are not haunted attractions with gift shops. These are real towns, forgotten, contaminated, or simply left to rot. We are counting down 10 of the creepiest small towns in New York, the gated community where no one dies, the nuclear depot guarded by ghost deer, and the town that renamed itself to cash in on a 200-year-old ghost story. Hit subscribe, not for me, for you, because the next time your GPS recalculates through upstate New York, you will want to know which towns not to stop in. Let us break it down. Number 10, Sleepy Hollow, New York. You know the story. Headless Horseman, Ichabod Crane, the midnight chase through the hollow. What you might not know is that until 1996, this was just North Tarrytown, a regular commuter village. Then the town council voted to rebrand, and now their high school mascot is literally a decapitated German soldier on a horse. Here's the part nobody tells you. The Headless Horseman was not invented. A real Hessian soldier was decapitated by an American cannonball during the Battle of White Plains in 1776. His body is buried somewhere in the old Dutch church cemetery. Its weathered headstone scattered beneath autumn leaves. They just do not know which grave. Population approximately 10,000. Median home price approximately $746,000. Crime rate among the lowest in America. It is one of the safest places in New York, unless you count being haunted by a German mercenary as a safety concern. And if you think a town cashing in on a ghost story is unsettling, wait until you meet one where the government tracked UFOs for decades. There is a town in New York where UFO sightings are not conspiracy theories, they are police reports. Welcome to Pine Bush, the UFO capital of the East Coast, where your anxiety might be natural, but your sky definitely is not. Since the 1980s, thousands have reported massive triangle-shaped craft hovering silently over the Hudson Valley night sky. Not conspiracy theorists, but police officers, pilots, teachers, people whose job it is to not sound crazy. The sightings were documented by J. Allen Hynek, one of the most respected UFO researchers in history. The town now has a UFO museum with alien mannequins in the window, an annual alien parade, and a diner called the Cup and Saucer. Population approximately 1,751. Crime rate low. Here is the weird part. Sightings have decreased since the 1980s, not because people stopped looking, but because developers built condos over the open fields where everyone used to watch the sky. So if you want to see something unexplainable, better hurry. Remember when Sleepy Hollow just had a Headless Horseman problem? Pine Bush said, "Hold my alien probe." The name Kinderhook means children's corner in Dutch. That detail gets unsettling once you learn what haunts this town. Welcome to Kinderhook, where the ghosts have better resumes than most LinkedIn users. President Martin Van Buren's estate, Lindenwald, is a grand colonial mansion surrounded by apple orchards. It might be the only place in America haunted by 3 generations of the same family. Van Buren's ghost wanders the halls. His butler, who hanged himself from a tree after an argument, haunts the orchard. Aaron Burr, the man who shot Alexander Hamilton, reportedly still strolls around in a wine-colored coat. In 1972, the wife of the estate's last owner died in a car crash directly in front of Lindenwald. Another ghost. Population approximately 1,200. Housing affordable. Unexplained sightings are uncomfortably frequent. In the 1980s, a Bigfoot-like creature called the Kinderhook creature terrorized the county. It was 7 to 8 feet tall with glowing red eyes in the dark forest. A Reddit user put it best. Went for the history, stayed because my car wouldn't start until sunrise. Number 7, Nyack, New York. There is a town in New York where ghosts have legal rights. No, seriously, case law. Welcome to Nyack, where your house might be haunted and your real estate disclosure better include it. In 1991, the New York Supreme Court ruled that the Victorian house at 1 Levada Place was, as a matter of law, haunted. The case became known as the Ghostbusters ruling. Owner Helen Ackley described 3 ghosts to local media and to Reader's Digest: a married couple from the 1700s and a Revolutionary War lieutenant who shook her bed every morning and left baby rings as gifts. When she sold without disclosing the haunting, the buyer sued. The court said that since she had already told everyone it was haunted, she could not deny it to a buyer. Population approximately 7,000. Median home price approximately $650,000. Legal precedent for ghosts confirmed. And if you think a legally haunted house is creepy, wait until you visit a town that was abandoned twice. There is a ghost town deep in the Adirondacks that was abandoned twice. The roads lead nowhere. The buildings collapsed. Welcome to Tahawas, where even the ghosts eventually gave up. In the 1840s, Tahawas started as an ironworks in dense mountain wilderness. One of the founders, David Henderson, was killed when his pistol allegedly fell off a rock and fired. The unofficial version says he was murdered by an angry miner. The town failed and emptied within 15 years. This was the first abandonment. In 1941, the War Department revived mining for titanium. They extracted 40 million tons of mineral. In the 1960s, they physically relocated the entire village to dig a bigger pit. By 1989, operations stopped and everyone left again. Population 0, twice. Today, a 50-foot stone blast furnace stands alone in the forest, covered in moss. The ghost of David Henderson is reportedly seen riding his horse through streets that no longer exist. Number 5, Amityville, New York. Amityville. The real horror of Amityville isn't paranormal. It's what happened on November 13th, 1974. Welcome to Amityville, where the haunting was fake, but the murders weren't. Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed all 6 members of his family as they slept in their Long Island colonial home. That included his parents, 2 sisters aged 18 and 13, and 2 brothers aged 12 and 9. All were found face down in their beds. He claimed voices told him to do it. He died in prison in 2021. The Lutz family moved in, fled after 28 days, and wrote a bestseller about green slime, levitation, and a demonic pig named Jody. 6 million copies sold and 26 films were made. One problem: DeFeo's defense lawyer admitted the haunting was a hoax created over bottles of wine. Every owner since has reported 0 paranormal activity. The population is approximately 9,500. The median home price is $585,000. The house's windows have been changed, the address altered, and the street sign removed. Locals actively discourage visits. Some horrors don't need ghosts, and if you think a mass murder site is disturbing, wait until you hear about the 8-year-old who vanished 50 yards from safety. There is a town where an 8-year-old vanished 50 yards from his family and was never seen again. Welcome to Newcomb, where the search parties left, but the questions did not. On July 10th, 1971, Douglas Legg was walking back to his family's lodge at Camp Sant Antonio. His brother saw him about 50 yards from the main building. He never arrived. The search was the largest in New York State history. Nearly 1,000 volunteers combed the dense Adirondack forest. Air Force planes with heat detection technology searched from above. Helicopters and search dogs scoured the woods. They searched for 6 weeks. The tiny town was nearly bankrupted feeding searchers. No body, no clothing, no trace. Population approximately 450. The case is still open with the FBI. The files were sealed under the Freedom of Information Act. Camp Sant Antonio is a 40-building abandoned estate, accessible only by a 5-mile hike into the wilderness. The yellowed reward poster reportedly still hangs in the Newcomb General Store. There is a gated community in Western New York where everyone talks to dead people, not as a novelty, as a Tuesday. Welcome to Lily Dale, where the living pay admission and the dead apparently never leave. Lily Dale is the world's largest spiritualist community, operating since 1879. Victorian cottages line narrow streets, wind chimes hanging from every porch. To live here, you must prove membership in a spiritualist church. There are over 50 registered mediums. Every home has a shingle indicating whether the medium medium is in session. Visitors pay $15 to enter. Readings run from $60 to $180. The population is approximately 275 people year-round. An HBO documentary called it the town where no one dies. The inspiration stump in Leolyn Woods has been delivering messages from the dead for 140 years. Harry Houdini visited in disguise to expose the mediums. He failed. A Reddit visitor said they went as a skeptic and left with their dead grandmother's favorite phrase repeated back to them. They were still processing. And if you think a town of mediums is unsettling, wait until you see what the army left behind in the Finger Lakes. During the Cold War, the largest stockpile of Army nuclear weapons on the East Coast sat in the Finger Lakes. The perimeter fence was charged with 4,800 volts. When the soldiers left, something else stayed behind. Welcome to Romulus, where the deer are white and the history is classified. The Seneca Army Depot covered 10,587 acres. Radioactive materials from the Manhattan Project were stored in concrete bunkers, hundreds stretching to the horizon. Approximately 500 of those bunkers are still standing, overgrown with weeds. It is now an EPA Superfund site. When the Army fenced the land in 1941, they accidentally trapped a deer herd inside. Over 80 years, the deer inbred and turned white. Not albino, just white. Today, roughly 300 ghost deer roam the abandoned depot, their pale bodies glowing against the tree line at dusk. 3 miles away, Willard Asylum buried 5,776 unclaimed bodies, marked only with metal numbers, no names. In 1995, workers found over 400 suitcases in the attic, packed by patients who expected a temporary stay. They never returned. Remember when Lily Dale just had psychics? Romulus seemed to say, "Hold my uranium." Number 1. East Bethany, New York. There is a town where 1,700 people died inside one building, and the cemetery holding their bodies has never been found. Welcome to Rolling Hills Asylum, where the inmates built their own coffins and nobody knows where they are buried. Rolling Hills opened in 1827 as the Genesee County Poorhouse. For nearly 150 years, it warehoused orphans, the mentally ill, widows, criminals, and the disabled. Everyone was called an inmate. Treatments included shackling patients to basement walls. Inmates built coffins for local mortuaries as daily labor. More than 1,700 deaths are documented. An estimated 2,500 bodies lie somewhere on the grounds in unmarked graves. The headstones, the records, the cemetery itself just vanished. Nobody knows where. The population of East Bethany is approximately 900. Documented deaths, 1,700. Bodies located, 0. Rolling Hills has been featured on Ghost Adventures, Ghost Asylum, and Haunted USA. It is the only property in New York granted 2 historical markers by the Pomeroy Foundation. The most famous ghost is Roy. He suffered from gigantism and he was abandoned by his wealthy father at age 12. His 7-foot shadow is seen in doorways. Faint opera music, his favorite, echoes through empty halls. Picture walking down a hallway at 3 a.m. Your flashlight flickers. You see a shadow 7 feet tall in the corner. It does not move. You move fast. Like this video if you made it without checking your window. Subscribe if you want to avoid moving somewhere your neighbors do not cast shadows. Sleep tight.